What's up, word nerds? I'm Tim Green. Welcome to the channel. In my more recent video on what is free writing, besides explaining what it is, I focused that video on how I used to free write and how I am using free writing as part of my writing process. But in between those two segments, there was another one. This was a super short detour, you could say, segment that was how I discovered free writing for the very first time. It was funny, it was jokeful, but when I was editing the video, I just felt like it didn't serve anything and I removed it. I recorded it and I figured, why not put that out on YouTube anyway? It's funny, at least I find it's funny, and it's an extra. So that's what this video is. I will give you a heads up. All the jokes that require the rest of the free writing video are still in this segment. I think there's only a few of them that require that. I left them in anyway. So I just wanted to give you that heads up. You know what to do with the whole like, subscribe, ring the bell, comment, and everything. So let's get right to and start watching the super short segment on how I rediscovered free writing as part of my writing process.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I said there was going to be talking about how I used to free write and then how I use free writing now. Nothing about this, how I came back to free writing. I mean, I was the one who said it after all. But to understand how magical this tool is that I've never used before and the impactful of a tool it is that I forgot for 20 years, kind of need to know how I came back to it. I mean, found it for the first time ever. Don't worry, I'll keep it short, to the point. But I understand if you want to jump ahead to how I use free writing now. If you want to do that, skip to this time code here. Just so you know, we're here. That's where we are in the video. You're jumping to here. See how short that is? So you might as well just watch this portion of the video because it's gonna be over like in a blink of an eye. But if you choose to jump ahead, I understand. You stayed, you're cool. Now let me get to this very brief story on how I found my way back. Discovered free writing after 8 long years of ruining Marx Valera. I decided I was done with it. I needed a break because I was never gonna fix it if I just kept the cycle I was going with. I was never gonna publish anything. So I think I need a long break, like 10 years before I'd have to come back and fix this story. Ironically, we're almost at 12 years. The see thing is though, I had a 2016 publishing deadline that I was determined to make. But I had no project. I had about 2 years. I thought, why not revive an old project that was dead? Instead of having 5 books in it, let's bring it down to a trilogy. Ooh, let's add a sequel trilogy after it. We can have a prequel that predates all of them that follows witches instead of angels. Yeah, sure. I rushed every draft of the first book I ever wrote because I was trying to hit that publishing deadline in 2016, which I never did. And ruined another series by 2018. Now, part of this time, I did learn a lot about my process and specifically seams list. At that time, it was really a bullet outline disguised as a seam list because I was trying. And I learned some other things about the process. But I forgot so much about the process of the early days of Marx Valera that worked so well. After running Godchild Parable in 2018, after running 3 complete novels in 1 year, that's right, and all 3 drafts were completed. There's nothing in the contract that you signed that said a first draft had to match the outline. So I don't care that draft 3 only had the main story completed and none of the side stories from the outline. It's called a loophole. I don't have to pay your $250, so stop asking. 2019 started my 8 years of not writing a draft to completion. But that was gonna change because in 2020, I found my next big story. This was absolutely gonna be the first thing I publish. It's called Truthsayer.
Liar, liar, pants on fire, hanging from a telephone wire.
Or not, because to finish something or even start writing it, you kinda need to know what that was. And I can never figure it out. You see, it started as a short story. Hold on. I don't want to do this again. I've done it so many times.
If you were to watch all my True Sayer update videos, including the bi-weekly update videos, you would see one consistent theme through them all. That theme being,
I have no clue what I want True Sayer to be.
I kid you not, it has gone from being a short story to a novel to a trilogy with 3 intro novellas, back to a novel for like a day, then to a trilogy, but this time we're gonna have 6 intro novellas, then to a standalone again, but a grand epic standalone, then to a novella, nope, back to a novel. Oh, this time it's gonna be a novel with 6, nope, I'm sorry, 5, 4 intro novellas. Oh, and then I decided that True Sayer no longer needed to be my debut novel, so it can be longer than I planned on it being. Then it got long, real long, too long. Oh, and the ending sucks now.
Okay, you get the point here. And by 2023, True Sayer had grown so long, and I was hyper focusing on this one arc of the story that really didn't need to be there. Maybe it did. But if it did, it did not need to be as long as I was making it. And I just was done. I had no clue what this was. I'm done with it. And I gave up on that project too. For the rest of 2023, I focused on other projects and stories. When 2024 hit, I knew I needed to write. I hadn't written anything in a year, and I just knew I needed to. I wanted to write a lot. I wanted to write a ton of prose. Turns out a ton of prose is 55,000 words. I wanted to write more, but this seemed doable just in case I didn't actually do a lot of writing.
A good call on my part.
But what to write came right to me. The story I wrote last year that I didn't finish. The End Is Nigh. A cool little story I came up with, but it was struggled with because I didn't know enough about the story. And it was just kind of a quick story. Let me write that so I could say I could write something. But you know what? If I do some planning, figure out the story and what I want, then I can clearly write this. Cool. And I did. Came up with a lot of cool ideas. Never could really figure out where I was going with it, but I did get a lot done. Then I hit a block. Maybe I just burnt myself out. I'm not sure. Another idea was kind of spinning in my head. Because at the same time, Adam was starting to read that terrible, god-awful pants novel, Skylar Grant, that I wrote for my blog in 2011. And we were discussing it during those podcasts, and I was just like, you know what? That would be something cool to rework on. Getting some ideas from him, let me approach that. And I began looking at the old updated drafts. Multiple times I tried to rework it, and started to develop it and world build, so I had a plan and get the first arc of the story done and just rewrite that first book again. Then it got bad. Too many ideas, too many options. Never really settling on a direction. I wanted to know the end. Goal was just to write. So just write that first song, but I just couldn't make it up. Another story was starting to been pricking in my head for a while now, even probably before this. Or Jara. This thing has been a project I've been trying to write since 2016. Just a novella about a warrior culture I developed. You know what? That would be cool. Best thing is, no real world building. Just the little stuff I need to know for the story. This novella that is absolutely going to be a novella-length story. And that would be the thing I write. It'll work out, I know it. Just to need to take a fresh look at the story, plot it, and we can get writing. And that's what I did. And it worked. It worked really good. It may have worked a little too well, because things just poured out of me. Before I know it, thoughts in my head were going like, this is going well. If I finish this outline, I could get this written. What if I could get it written and then edited, and then maybe by the end of the year, early next year, I could publish it. Yeah, I'm gonna publish something. Boom! terror flooded me. All at once, like the idea of publishing this story and just publishing in general just scared the living shit out of me. Thoughts just started running through my head. What are people gonna think about me using this element in the story? Do I really want my first published book, even if it's a novella, be this grim? What if I get labeled that kind of guy? Hey, what's that shiny thing over there? Ooh, it is shiny. It's a story idea that I've been wanting to write for a very long time. I should write that. Bye, Rajara. Within 4.5 months, I was on to my 4th project. This one was easy because I had no desire to publish it because it's just this this competition I wanting to write. But I was also gonna rip characters from other projects that not really have it. I want to write, but no real direction for them, and throw them in there, and it'll be this grand, epic mashup. And I'm like, yeah, just some world building, nothing major. Just need to go into a very deep dive in the combat magic system. Won't take long at all. It actually really didn't take that long. I just dragged my feet because I was trying to delay the writing of the prose because I knew deep down it was going to be painful. Eventually, I forced myself to start. God! Wait, I don't believe in God. I'm basically an atheist at this point. So maybe I should... Universe! It was painful to write. No, it doesn't have the same thing to it. I think I'll just go back with God. It doesn't matter. So I gave up on it. I mean, I was still determined to write 55,000 words in 2024. I don't recall my goal saying those prose had to be new ones. Sounds like a loophole to me. And Timmy loves a loophole. God, I said Timmy. I like a loophole. But what should I do? Maybe I should transcribe something. My prose suck. Maybe transcribing a published novel, even though those have been polished and everything, they'll help me see something. Yeah, I'll transcribe a book I like. Mistborn, The Final Empire. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, that didn't work. His prose are weird. I did not realize how much Sanderson likes to use the little dash thing between words. It was like every other f***ing sentence. But transcribing was the solution. And you know what? I happen to have something that needs to be transcribed. Because my idiocy back in the youth. Well, 2007. My first novel I ever wrote. Angelic Wars. Legend of the Godchild. Angelic Wars, book 1. The reason for this is because the only copy I had was a PDF that had this ridiculous encryption on it. Like if you try to copy it and paste it into any kind of text document, it gave you code that looked like it was from the Matrix. And this was all because of my paranoia that someone was going to try to steal my story. That sounded like a winner. That was the loophole. I'll transcribe that. What was I talking about again? Free writing, right, we're almost there. After I scrapped and gave up on writing that grand epic mashup, and I had a revelation. July 2nd. I think that was the date. It was early July, I know that much. In a writing journal, I wrote, I had lost my passion for writing. Writing prose specifically. Papa still loved plotting and world building. I just call myself Papa. What is happening to me? But this idea of sitting down and starting to write a story was torturous. It filled me with dread. Writing had become a painful chore. Now, I still wanted to be a published author. I had no clue if I was ever going to write one, but I still wanted to do that. That was very clear in my mind. But I had no solution. And surprisingly, around that time, the rise of AI, the thought of having it write it for me never really popped in my head that I can remember. And if it did, it got squashed really quickly. It'd probably be like, AI could write it for me.
No! No!
if it did. But little did I know, by the end of July, the end of that month, I would have an answer. July 31st, 2024, I was watching A&E's documentary on the legend of Eddie Guerrero. Somewhere in the middle of this documentary, Eddie is talking about his time away from his family, his daughters, due to his addictions. And he just said something about what a father would do for his daughters, or something like that. And it just hit me. I don't have kids, but just something hit me. I just wrote that down. I wrote what a father would do for his daughters. And finished the documentary. A few days later, Taken came to mind, and I decided to watch that movie. John Wick came to mind. Something started to form in the brain sphere here. Something like Taken in a fantasy version of Rome with the body count of John Wick. Something just struck. Something clicked. I didn't know what it was. I jotted my ideas down on a piece of paper. After going to hang out with Adam, doing some video game recording for him, maybe some podcasting recording for me, I don't remember. Butting around pixie dust jokes. Yeah, you know, the powder, the white stuff, you know. Something hit. I came up with this idea of starting point for my deadbeat of a dad Kato, but I had no idea where to take it. You see, I didn't want to copy Taken's story beat for beat. I wanted to use it as a starting point. Then I said, I thought an idea that popped in my head. Some ideas what maybe you should include in this. Kato's gonna be running around the city trying to find his daughter, so let's throw some stuff down. Doesn't mean it has to be in the story, and we can just figure it out. So I wrote some ideas down. Something like gladiator fights should be there. All that, stuff like that. Once I had enough of that, I kind of organized them in what I think might be the order of events or where they could fall in, but just mostly about just figuring out how they could be played into the story. One sentence. I started with one prologue, which ironically, to this day, is the same prologue this story would become Let the Hunt Begin is now. Maybe some tweaks, but it's the exact same thing. That got one sentence, because that's all I had to write, but I could write more. Next idea. A paragraph. Section after that. A longer paragraph. And it kept going. No idea was off the table. Before I knew I was free writing an entire page of ideas for a section. It was awesome. It was just this little idea of Taken in a fantasy version of Rome with John Wick's body count somehow morphed into Save the Empire epic story. It was just cool. I had no clue where it was going. Anything that popped up, I said, sure, let's throw that in there too. I don't know how. Before Kato became a drug addict loser, he was the leader of a small black ops group for the Empire. Sure, let's have them in now, but someone else lead them. All this, it just didn't say no, and it was awesome. Before I knew it, I just had this epic story that I never thought would come from this little idea of Taken in a fantasy version of Rome with John Wick's body count. And there you go. That's the short, crisp, to the point story of how I found free writing.
There you go. That's watching this super short 18-minute video on how I rediscovered free writing. Yeah, I think it was the right call to cut it. It's way too long. Just a giant joke of a segment, which is the point, but way, way too long. In parts, I feel like, am I even alive? Because my energy is so low. So that's another probably reason why I decided to cut it. But I do think because I recorded it, it's a great thing as a little extra here. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you are still here, I hope you did enjoy it. Let me know down in the comment section. And if you want to help out this channel, why not go and smash that like button and do it as a prayer to the holy algorithm. And subscribe because we got other content on this channel, which is on the screen now. Pick something. We'll see you there. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.